The hosts of Two Bored Apes are not registered investment advisors. The podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. Nothing said on it should be construed as investment advice.
Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff. Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff.
Welcome to episode 33 of Two Bored Apes. I'm your host, Jamie, and I'm here with my friend and co-host, Roy. Roy, how are you?
I'm really good. I just finished a perfectly proportioned meal. It wasn't a large meal. It was good.
I actually just had a meal myself.
Great. You got a nice Hogwarts mug there? Hogwarts?
Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Technically, this is Kayla's. I have a Ravenclaw one myself, but it's dirty. Let's talk about what we just ate. What did you have?
I had some leftover Thai food. It was a prawn curry, basically.
I like Thai food. I like prawns.
Did I say Thai? I meant Vietnamese.
You did say Thai.
Okay.
I like Vietnamese food too. I made a congee. I had some congee and some air fryer chicken wings.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
It was delicious. Should we talk about like the things that people listen to?
I want to sidetrack
Let's not talk about NFTs.
I recorded an episode of Overpriced JPEGs with Carly earlier, another podcast. And at the beginning, she we were talking about something slightly off topic. And then she's like, I hate when podcasts veer off topic to begin with. Let's just jump right in.
That is funny. I enjoy it when they go off topic.
I enjoy it too, from both perspectives. I enjoy listening to podcasts to do that and just doing it ourselves. Rachel is telling me I'm being too loud.
My wife's actually working at her office today instead of out of the house, so I don't have to worry about that.
Oh, what a treat.
Tell me about it. Very, very rare these days. But they're starting to kind of get back into the theoretical post-COVID world. Now, are we ready to actually jump into the thing or no?
I think so. Let's talk NFTs.
Ready, set, news of the week. I think I just heard a beep in my headphones. Is everything fine?
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you. The news of the week, we got written down here that Biden signed a relatively favorable executive order. It's sort of not news though, because like the fact that it was going to happen was leaked weeks ago, and the leak basically said that it was going to be exactly what it is, which is just that he's saying, hey, this is too much of a burgeoning space for us to act like it doesn't exist, and to have every single agency in the entirety of the United States government just kind of guessing, as well as their citizens, about every single aspect of the legality and how it interacts with the existing financial system and all that shit. So basically, he's just commissioned the government, various specific subsets of it, to study the space and, how it can affect national security and blah, 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 blah. But basically it was like very, to me, expected and sort of even keeled, and, certainly not any of the nasty stuff that people might have feared it would be. Now, they're definitely talking about things like, preventing illicit activity and, like tax evasion-y sanction, avoiding ramifications. But it's like, that's going to happen, is that they're going to have to consider the negative effects of it and say that we're considering the negative effects in it. Some of the crypto proponents would want them to be, ignoring the fact that those are possible, or going, well, that can happen with US dollars too. So why are you even talking about it with crypto? But that's not a reasonable position to be in. But yeah, that was the biggest thing. And it is overall good, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I didn't know that the content or the substance of the executive order was like relatively leaked or known in advance. I knew that a few weeks ago was announced that he was going to sign one. But in
Right,
my
and
mind, there was like a lot of uncertainty about what it was going to be.
There was, but now that we've seen exactly what it is, it's the uncertainty is basically fictitious.
Yes,
and it's funny too, because the executive order, you think of, or I don't know how much non-U.S. residents think of executive orders, but theoretically, you're thinking of it as a quick way to sort of circumvent Congress, because you can kind of get action without actually having to have a law passed. But this one is basically just the executive action is, let's research this. So there's like nothing has changed really, other than, we have some sort of official communique from the government about their interest in figuring all this out.
Yeah, that's good. Makes sense. It's, to me, it sounds positive. Like they're acknowledging it and as a very real thing. Yeah.
And are sort of acknowledging the fact that not sort of falling behind or being regressive about it is very relevant to America's ability to still be a world power going forward. And so they're not taking a hardline anti-crypto stance, which I think is good for the goose and the gander. But I wanted to mention, did you hear about South Korea, or I think there was one other place that is less relevant maybe, but South Korea just elected a new, I think, president who's like explicitly pro-crypto.
Oh, nice.
So that's also politically relevant. But it's just, it does seem like the mainstream acceptance and adoption is happening so fast lately.
Yeah, it kind of has to, because it's just in the zeitgeist so much and has been for the last year. And I think, it's very easy to say that from within our bubbles, but even outside of it, I'm hearing, people talking about crypto and more specifically NFTs, because, celebrities and sports stars and like, it was on Saturday Night Live, for crying out loud. And like,
Coinbase had a Super Bowl ad and
what was the Staples Center renamed to Crypto.com?
Yeah.
The Crypto.com Center?
Talk on the podcasts at all about basically the Canadian government's dealings with the banks, as well as the U.S. government's deal? I think
we touched on it in the last episode, but not a lot.
The U.S. one stuff is new, though, as far as like how they're treating Russian reserve currencies and stuff, which is wild. And I don't think we really want to get sidetracked too far, but it basically is just more evidence that some sort of money that I just stabbed myself. Oh my God. I'm playing. Oh my God. God damn it.
You just stabbed yourself. What?
Yes. I have attention deficit disorder, and I'm playing with my little pocket knife in my hand, and I just stabbed myself in the head. I'm gonna be fine though. I'm gonna play through it. Are you gonna bleed out during the podcast?
No,
I am. There is a tiny bit of blood coming out though. This is not a bit. I just stabbed myself. It is just back to what I was actually saying. It's more evidence that it makes sense to have a form of money that is not beholden to the whims of a government, because you can think whatever you want about Russia's behavior in Ukraine, but the ability for the United States to basically rug all of the money that's held here and sort of the ramifications that has for the ruble. It's like, you have the rubles, which is, its value. You have to rely on the Russian government behaving well, and then you have to rely on the U.S. government to not go back at the Russian government if they don't behave well. And it's like, that's a lot of layers of trust of people you shouldn't be trusting in order for your money to stay valuable. And then, like I alluded to, and I guess we did talk about, the Canada's ability to just freeze people's bank accounts if they donate to people who they don't like. Just more evidence that a decentralized currency is a thing that a lot of people will want. And there's talk now of sort of the world, financially speaking, sort of fracturing into a U.S.-led Western bloc and then a sort of a China-led Eastern bloc, where they are both just kind of being financially very obstinate with people who side with the others and not being friendly with the way they allow them to use money and sort of interact financially. And now crypto is showing all these people that there's, a third option that is not tied to any of them.
Yeah. It's bullish for crypto, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, Ether. Maybe you seem to have become more of like a proponent for Bitcoin lately, if I'm reading your messages.
Yeah,
correctly.
sort of. I mean, I haven't bought any, so not that much.
Yeah.
But certainly the simplicity of it and sort of the like the value proposition of it is, to me, direct. I cannot believe I stabbed myself like that. Is directly related to basically these exact geopolitical things that are happening right now. And for so long, I would say that the value proposition of Bitcoin was highly theoretical, but it's becoming much more real lately in my mind. And so in that sense, I find it temporarily a bit more interesting. But, I still think Ether is more interesting. They're creating a whole separate economy on the Ethereum blockchain that is just, it's much more interesting. And it still has the same, to me, again, Bitcoin maxis definitely have a different opinion, but to me, it still has the same quality of being, hands off or not susceptible to the whims of these large banks or governments or whatever powerful entities you want to look at.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. I'm also becoming more bullish on Bitcoin, but I also have not bought any.
I'm going to walk away from the screen for 1 second. Okay. Just keep talking.
Jamie's going to hopefully not bleed out. All right, what else do we have on our list? Maybe I'll wait till Jamie gets back to talk about the next thing.
I'm back.
All right.
I got an alcohol wipe so I can disinfect the wound I just gave myself while we're podcasting.
I was basically
First aid,
getting ready
folks,
to go into the next thing.
What?
First aid is important. Yes, I don't think we spoke about it too much last time about the war, Russia invading Ukraine.
Right.
I believe, and
now that falls under the random stuff category of the podcast?
I guess so. I mean, slightly news of the week. It's certainly news, maybe not this week per se, but since the last time we recorded a regular podcast.
But this is not a news podcast. News of the week is supposed to mean within the crypto space, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, we could tie it in, though, like Ukraine, for instance, gave out a Bitcoin and an Ethereum address and said, hey, feel free to donate to us, which is like wild. I don't know that a country at war has ever just solicited donations from random global citizens before, nor have they really had a way to do it so easily, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, has their Twitter account been hacked?" And
it was right, I think, to be suspicious, but they confirmed that this is us.
Yeah,
and we're going to use this money to buy weapons of war to defend ourselves.
Yeah, it sort of spooked a lot of markets, and
the war
definitely felt that. Yeah, we definitely felt that in NFTs and in crypto. There was like a 24-hour period where everything was just crashing and burning, and people were like, afraid and liquidating. Seems to have stabilized though a bit.
Yeah, it's also sort of an interesting thing to where, and gold falls in the same category, but the types of events, globally speaking, that ought to confirm the value proposition of things like gold or like crypto, often the market just doesn't care. Just kind of everything goes down, even though theoretically the events are something that the proponents of these assets would say are things that prove their worth or increase their worth. And definitely I saw a lot of people on Twitter sort of saying, like, if this is not the sort of thing that is bullish for crypto, what is? but there's just so much correlation on all assets, really.
Yeah, and like it might be bullish for crypto, and there might be a small subset of people who saw that and were like, "Hey, this is great for crypto," but there's just so many speculators and so many people who are just in it for the money, or just like overexposed, and so anything that might spook them just causes an overreaction. And anyway,
and two, like, if you think about the scariest escalation possibilities of the war, the assets that's good for is like, defense stocks, and that's about it, right? I don't
canned goods,
right, ammunition, that kind of shit. It doesn't necessarily mean that Ether is good, because I don't. How much fun are we going to have with DeFi and NFTs when there's a global thermonuclear war?
Yeah,
I mean, nuclear nerds might go up, right? That's an NFT project that might just be more popular. And
I want to buy some of those.
You have none?
I want to buy some of those after this. I have
two.
None. I remember they were at like 1-ish ETH, and I'd felt that I missed it. And if they get back down to like 0.5, I'm going to buy. And then everything is just been tanking.
Yeah,
I think they're 0.3 now. Yeah.
Speaking of everything tanking, I feel good that I managed to sell my cat and my mutant when I did, and sort of bad that I didn't sell my ape, I should say, where I didn't, because at 119, the floor was 119. So theoretically, with the toga being a somewhat rare trait, I could have maybe got 130 or something. I always list it for more than I could reasonably get, but that would have been a hell of a short term move to have sold there and now here. But it's so expensive. I don't think it would have ever got back in, and I like to own it and be in it. So in the long term, probably good that I didn't, but temporarily I'm feeling a little bit like, I kind of wish I sold there.
Yeah. Should we properly transition into the Bored Ape?
Sure.
Section?
Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Yacht Club.
All right. What? I guess we just talked about it a bit, right? I
prices are dwindling.
Prices have been going down a lot.
They for a period, punks flipped apes again.
I know it was getting close. I didn't
fell to like 65 or something,
and they were 67 for punks or something.
Yeah. It was quite similar to the last time, or when apes flipped punks. It wasn't necessarily due to apes going up a lot. It was because punks kept coming down.
Yeah.
And now the same thing happened. Apes were on 20, and then they came down to like 65. They've bounced back. Now they're like 75-ish, I think. But yeah, definitely down a lot from all-time highs. Apes, mutants, bored apes, mutant apes, dogs. Yeah. Which, the whole market is bearish at the moment. It's been bearish for a while, and a lot of projects have been bleeding, and the quote-unquote blue chips are no exception. I don't know. The last couple of days, though, it seems like things are recovering a bit and bouncing back. But
the unique holders chart, it just keeps going up, though. It's like a beautiful thing to see. I don't know if you've looked at it lately.
I have not. I'm going to... you know what? I can try. I can pull it up. That's the beauty
Display
of
it on the screens.
Yeah. If I can figure it out. Where are we? Anyway, what else? ApeCoin. Like they said Q1.
They did say Q1.
3 weeks
they've
away
got
from the end
about
of Q1.
20 days left. 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. I am hearing rumors that it's going to be delayed. Are you hearing these rumors?
I am hearing them. I think there was some sort of vague scare about projects that basically just have roadmaps being unregistered securities is sort of the simplistic answer to it. And that these sort of ERC20 tokens that are associated with them are a kind of good indication or, good target basically for, just legislating or ruling these things to be not just a fun collectible or whatever. Obviously, when they announced this a while ago, they were very cognizant of the legal concerns and said specifically, anybody can make an ERC20, but to make one that is compliant and actually has use cases is not so easy, and we're taking our time. So I'm not particularly concerned about it, but I think that the market has been. And as I've talked about for a lot of episodes in a row, I just felt like in general, the profile picture market, there's just so much supply that has high floors that seemed overall unsustainable. And, even the projects that this sort of goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago about all assets being so correlated, even the projects that are like definitely going to survive when everything is feeling bearish and people are liquidating, those are going to go down as well, for all sorts of reasons. So it's not very surprising at all to me that we're having a large scale pullback. I mean, the bullishness in the profile picture market in like January was so high.
Yeah.
And definitely
it just came out of nowhere. Like December was bearish, and then January 1 hit, and boom.
It was definitely not going to be able to be sustained forever. And so there we go. It just keeps going up. Yeah.
This is unique holders. It says max, but then it goes back to November, which is not. I guess maybe since they started tracking it. But yeah. What happened on February 20th? It's just like maybe one account came in and swept like 20 apes or something.
I don't remember anything specifically that would have happened there, but
yeah.
It could have also been something where, for whatever reason, somebody that owned a bunch across a bunch of wallets like consolidated, maybe.
Yeah,
unclear.
That's true. And if we look at the number listed, that's also, it's been going down, and then this massive thing is when I think OpenSea migrated contracts, and then
has to be.
People have slowly been listing again, and then it's been going down again. That's not many listed. 700. No. Even before that, 1,000. So it's a low number.
And people love to talk about this when they're talking about the numbers listed, but of that, 20% of them are listed at just ridiculous meme prices or something that are never going to be hit. So in terms of the ones listed at actual real market-ish prices, it is even lower than that.
Yeah.
But it is annoying when people talk about that specifically as if it's a bullish trait for their project. Because every project has a bunch that are listed for 1,000 ETH or whatever that are not worth that. So yours isn't special.
Yeah. Is there anything else happening in the ape world that you want to touch on?
Have we recorded since the interview? I think we have, actually. I think
we spoke about
we just watched it and then recorded shortly after our last time, I think, or a few times ago. I think that's going to be about it then.
Cool. Bored Ape
Yacht Club.
Our blogs. And maybe FX
and
hash.
Generative art in general.
It's been a little bit of a slow period in terms of, I don't think there's been a curated drop for several weeks now on our blocks.
Yes, that sounds right. And Entretiempos or Entretiempos would be the last one.
Yeah, which really cool drop, I think. You've been looking at them a lot lately, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday or 2 days ago that I bought one? No, it was yesterday, right?
I have no idea.
I think it was. I was going through. So just a little bit of a step back. My day-to-day time, as far as NFTs are concerned, what I've been doing a lot, lately is making loan offers on NFTFi in terms of just spending time doing stuff, and bidding on various collections. But I basically got a bunch of those loans accepted and then did not have really any ETH to work with. Or not super liquid ETH. I had some in my vault that I'm kind of holding back a little bit for potential scary tax bills and stuff. But I decided I needed to do something else with my time since I didn't have the ETH to be offering. So I decided I'm going to look at some of these projects that I like but don't have any pieces of, and just go piece by piece through the whole project and find my favorite pieces so that I can have shopping lists. And so I went through the first 200 pieces from the newest curated drop that we just talked about, Entretiempos by Marcelo Soria-Rodriguez. And I just kind of jotted down my favorite ones. And I
How many out of the 200 did you jot down?
I can pull that up for you within a moment. Let's see here. Google
That's a fun job. Like,
it
just
was
day to day.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. So from the first 200, and it was not easy to do because it's so subjective, and there's no exact way to measure how much I like it and how interesting I think the piece is or whatever. But I ended up with 46 of them that I had jotted down as being ones that I was, and my plan was basically to go through it and then kind of give myself a couple days off or something, and then kind of go through again. And any that didn't stick out to me still, I could just chop off the list to make it a bit shorter. But so I had 46 of them noted down there, and then 2 of them specifically as ones that, like, seemed grailish to me. And one of them was owned by somebody who there's no way I was going to be able to get it from them. It was AC, which is 3 Arrows Capital, I think. So I was like,
I think it might be different people.
Either way, it's just one of these wallets where you go, okay, you have 30 subscapes, 20 ringers, 7 Fidenzas. Like, you're not going to sell this to me for a price that I can offer it. But this other one was owned by somebody who, also had a very nice wallet, but they were more of a reasonable, real wallet, so to speak, in terms of my ability to possibly get it from them. So I looked up who they were on Twitter and contacted them and ended up buying it for like basically 5x the floor. And that was actually a lot quicker than I expected it to happen. I was planning on kind of just getting these lists and then kind of continually bidding on all of them. But when I found the ones that stood out, even from the ones that I felt were standouts, I figured, why not just, like, what is my long-term goal here? It's to acquire, like, sort of the best art from these collections, and here's a chance to do it without having to spend all that time or post in the Art Blocks Discord over and over again. Here's what I'm interested in. Here's what I got to trade. So I just made a deal with the guy.
Was it purely just the ones that you thought looked good, or were you looking ones that looked like different or had rare traits?
No, so it was the definitely the first thing is that I thought it was good, but also I definitely had ones that I was just kind of putting down because they were such unique mints or at least interesting mints, separate to some degree from me finding them really aesthetically pleasing. If I was better at sharing my screen, I could show you, but I have 3 columns: token ID, note, and then Grail were my 3 columns. And then, so in note, I specifically would write down kind of what about that piece made it stand out. And so some of them, I just wrote things like strange or what do we got here? Teal monochrome with just black outline. So it's like, it is what it sounds like, but there was very, very few.
What ID is that one? I'll bring it up.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Number 154.
One moment, please. Play some.
Do 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 do.
It's the Jeopardy, right?
Yep.
Hey,
Final
154.
I believe so. Yeah.
All right, let me just share it because it's going to render. Where are we?
Well, maybe I should have done the screen sharing. You're not doing great at this right now.
No, I got it. There we go. There's this one. And then we load 154.
So that one was very unique. Most of them have, basically these shapes are filled in with colors and a large variety of colors. So anyone that has non-filled in was kind of unique anyway. And as far as background colors, that was also a unique one. So I jotted it down and just kind of kept it moving, because to go through 1,000 just for this
Yeah.
one project was going to take a long time. So if it was just interesting and different enough, or I quite liked it, I would put it down.
What's the ID of the one that you bought?
114 is the one I bought. I was going to say the other one that I thought was really great, but didn't seem like I'd ever be able to get from the owner.
Oh, this one's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You showed me this one. Yeah.
I did. And the
looks
color
like a moon
really,
in the top right corner as well.
Yeah, that's going to keep developing too. The colors really reminded me of a Wassily Kandinsky that I really like. That I can also actually send to you, and you can display if you want.
Sure. My only knowledge of Kandinsky is from that Modern Family episode where, well, you don't know.
Remember that one.
Cam, Mitchell, Alex, and Manny go to like a museum, and it's like a competition, like to who's the smartest. And then,
oh yeah, that's funny.
Cam, they're meant to be on a Kandinsky exhibit, and then he memorizes everything about Kandinsky, and then they were like, "Oh, the exhibit that was temporary," and then he's like, "Oh, I'll just leave," and then yeah.
I love that show.
It's a great show, yeah.
I'm kind of questioning now, though, like as far as my plan to sort of search these out, if I want to keep going with this collection now that I found one that I love sufficiently. So the colors just reminded me of this particular painting so much that I really love. And a lot of the palettes in the Entretiempos were not to my liking. There was a lot that were, but this particular one was really nice, and also immediately just reminded me of this, which was cool. There's a lot of great sort of monochrome yellow ones. So why don't you pull up 157? That was the other one that I was thinking I would really love to have this, but is owned by whoever AC is with the crazy wallet.
157. Oh yeah! Wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, and I definitely kind of enjoy collecting by sort of color. Like I remember when I had all the elementals, I had sort of a nice gradient going from light to dark across it, and I kind of want to start having some more pieces in my collection that I can kind of arrange like that. And that would have been a great one for that.
Elemental floor is
1.0.
1.1.
Pretty close.
Yeah, and then it goes to 1.74 and then 2.25.
Yeah, we've been talking lately about the thinness of some of these art blocks curated floors. They are wild.
So crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a sale yesterday at 0.88, and then the last sale before that was a month ago.
Wow.
Huh. And apparently I bought one 2 months ago.
That's funny.
Yeah. This is my elemental.
That you don't remember.
I have no recollection of buying this. It sounds like something I would do though.
Yeah, it definitely does. Buy art blocks. Yeah. You've been known to do that for sure.
Yeah.
I bought a ton of stuff on FX Hash today. I've been sort of meaning to get back on the Tezos blockchain, and I finally did, and I bought a bunch of shit today. Shit is a dismissive and wrong term, but stuff. Art, I should call it, not shit. Art that I think is good, which is quite different.
Is this yours?
So there's 20 editions of that, but one of those 20 is mine, and I bought it today.
It's so nice.
I love it. I can't afford the garden monoliths, but I can get some of these lush temples that are edition pieces. And I think that one is friggin' beautiful. So I got it.
Yeah. How much is it? How much did you pay for it?
I paid $400 or $500, I think.
Wow.
And I think it was the last one listed at that price.
Yeah.
And then after I did it,
1,500.
that listing just happened after I bought, I believe. I don't think it was even listed.
Yeah. Looks like you bought it for 300. Yeah.
That's not what that means.
Oh, that's offers. Sorry.
Right.
I
think that is me,
wallet.
though. I
offered you made an offer.
Like a month ago or something, maybe.
Oh, this is fun. We can go through your collection.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you do recently received, like it already defaulted to, you can actually see what I bought specifically today.
Nice. These look really cool.
Yeah, I like them. They remind me of Unigrids. They're a very affordable version of Unigrid, sort of.
Object.com not showing its best side at the moment.
No, a bit slow
Here we
there.
go.
You might be able to get them quicker on FX Hash, but
yeah, probably.
It's also not a super responsive site.
That's not the right thing. So this is terrible video podcasting and even worse audio.
Even more terrible for audio. Yeah.
Let's talk about FX Hash in general. It's been a while. Prices seem to be going up again.
I have not paid attention to them because and literally the reason is I could not remember what the password was to my wallet. So I just kind of ignored it for months until I finally got to work figuring it out. And so I went through this whole list today, actually, when I went shopping, and just looked at every one of those collections to see which ones I liked enough to bother collecting from. And I probably bought from 5 or 6 of them.
It's a lot of green, especially at the top.
Yeah. Or pseudo top.
Yeah. Garden. It's a little blurry. A bunch of these I've just never heard of, so I guess they're more recent and either were released since I stopped collecting or just blew up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many every single time that they open up anything. There's no real way, even if you're paying close attention, to know of everything. And obviously you have attention that's divided amongst many things besides FX Hash. So you're even less likely to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But boy, do I love collecting on there, because it's just, again, we've talked about this before, but it's so affordable to be able to get tons and tons of art in a way that is just there's nothing else like it that I can think of, really. And if you went to sort of a like a flea market in real life or whatever, you might be able to get comparably priced art, but you'd have 6 different artists or something work, to choose from, and it would all be physical, which is there's pros and cons to it. But in terms of really being able to collect and display a lot of stuff, it just becomes very overwhelming and restrictive to try and do it all physical, which is honestly the thing that's most exciting to me about collecting the stuff digitally, is that you don't have to worry about where are you going to store it or display it, because it's just digital.
It's just digital. Have you created any galleries with your FX Hash art yet?
I have not, but I definitely am thinking about it. And I need to update my gallery.so one on the Ethereum stuff, because I've gotten some new stuff since the last time I did it.
Yeah, I don't think that they have Tezos functionality yet.
Oh, I see you went to yours instead of mine.
Well, you said you need to update yours. Let's go to Jaimes. Let's go to Jaimes. I don't even.
It had suggested it. Yeah.
It's a beautiful intro.
Thank you. I still need that autumn fragment. I mean, this is a recurring segment on the podcast. Jamie talks about how he needs an autumn fragment, but I still do.
I feel like you need another elementals as well, just to
and well, I also feel like I'm going to need another pigment, because I like the way I've matched up the frags and the pigments. So when I get
more pigment, one more frag, 2 more elementals.
Yeah. It is sort of annoying when you don't have the exact amount of pieces for the columns, and you have to figure out how to separate them and stuff. But that mutant.
Oh, and that's got to go.
Yeah, and one of the blit maps and one of the blit knots too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How are they doing?
Not great. Or the Blit knots are doing fine, but the Blit maps
Yeah.
have been pulling back last I checked.
Just kind of crazy. 2.3 for the Blit knots. 2.1 actually.
I wonder if that one's already sold.
Back down to 5 for the Blit. I will never, understand how these are. I don't know. Anyway,
That's so funny when people say stuff like that. It's like,
yeah,
it makes a ton of sense as long as you're comparing it to other NFT projects. But the second, the second you divorce it from that, you go, how can you not understand why it's only trading
not
for
worth
that?
$25,000? Yeah.
I mean, I remember specifically in a Q&A episode, we had a person asking why weren't Robotos worth more, and I was really having to go like, why are they worth this much? You know, it's a lot of money still for an individual one of these. So you might think it's undervalued, and it might well be, especially relative to all this other stuff. But you need to have some perspective and go, I guess I can understand why it's only this much.
Yeah. Do you remember these
jealous.
like 17 ETH? These Ecumenopolis? That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, every Art Blocks project you can say that about at this point. It was all so expensive.
So crazy. I love Art Blocks.
I do too.
Ooh, I wonder how much Paper Armada are. I always want to get lots of them, but I can never justify.
3.
Yeah, that's quite reasonable. 0.1.
Ooh. I was just guessing.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm
tempted.
Buy some.
That's a good one to make collections of. I don't know if you're interested in putting that much effort into it, though.
No, I would love to. Like, I got this Archetype, and I'd love to get some more that like match the color palettes a little bit better.
Well, he's been posting some art that's like definitely Archetype like, but is not Archetype, and it's great stuff. And it's you know what I like about it is we talked about like GE Dupe before, how all of his art is sort of similar. This I feels like he is, and now I'm talking about Golid here, is still making art where you go, oh, that is his art. It's recognizable as his art, but he's kind of expanding and evolving in a way that's really pleasant. If you kind of look at what he's posted on, like, you know, he's done some stuff on maybe Foundation or Super Rare or whatever, or his Instagram and stuff. You know, it's definitely got that kernel from Archetype, but remember when we couldn't pronounce that? That was a fun thing.
You still can't pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Archetype.
That's how you think it is, or that's how you think it should?
That's how it is.
Okay.
You say archetype or archetype.
I don't want to say it out loud.
Ooh.
Oh, so like this one right here is what I had recently seen.
Oh man,
and
that looks
made me
great.
think. Yeah, it's definitely of the same artist, but is definitely just the scale of it gives it a very different feel.
Yeah, I just love the colors, the pastel color palette.
Great palettes.
Yeah.
That's more of the stuff where you go,
oh
okay,
wow, this looks great.
This is that same artist, but doing something different.
Art is great. Art is really great.
And NFTs are really...
Apologies to the podcast listeners. We're just scrolling through some pictures here. But check us out on YouTube.
Yeah. Or I think Spotify probably too. I'm not sure. I mean, they definitely do video podcasts there. I don't know if ours is available in video form.
Now, I'm sure we can, though. Really cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've been thinking a little bit about trying to collect one of his one-of-ones at some point, but maybe I'll just go get an Archetype if they pull back far enough.
Yeah.
I remember
here's a set of Paper Armadas. Yeah, sorry, you remember what?
Like very early on in the podcast, it was like, ooh, archetypes are kind of getting low enough that I might be able to collect them. And then they mooned way past where I could get them. And now they're coming back down to where it's like, ooh, maybe I could get one again.
Yeah, I think they were like 4 to 6, and then they just went up to like 60 or something.
Yeah.
And now they're back down to 11.
North of 40 or whatever.
Yeah. What else do we have? This has been a long section.
We talked about
Snowfro's
thing. We talked about
thing.
My shopping.
No, we didn't talk about Snowfro's update.
Oh, we talked about talking about it off air.
We talked about talking about it. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it.
So, all right, let's talk about it. I'm going to share it. Share screen. So Snowfro made an announcement that makes my wall of text announcements seem short. It is just. Yeah, for those who are watching, you can see the text. For those who aren't, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 paragraphs and like hefty paragraphs. But we then get like a TLDR from Druid, which I'm just going to read it just to let everyone know who may not have been staying abreast of the art blocks world. Basically, TLDR, Adam Lindemann hosted a special event for Chromie Squiggles at Venus over Manhattan. It was amazing. We are building relationships with fine art organizations that see the importance of art blocks. We are growing our team with the best talent in the world and always looking for more. We are connecting with our community in a meaningful and sometimes offline way. We are participating in some of the most important / influential fine art events in the world, such as Freeze LA and Art Basel Miami. We are championing code-based generative art to the traditional art world. Art blocks pieces are joining the permanent collections of some of the biggest traditional art collectors. We are still working towards our long-term vision to elevate generative art. And then in terms of what's next, more growing, more events, more building, more art. To me, when I read Snowfro's thing, it's very bullish. It was very much, that's like when I think of what he's doing, that's sort of what I think he's doing. Just like running around the country.
When you think of what he's doing, that's what you think he's doing. Is that what you just said? What a terrible.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
It does, but it also doesn't need to be said. Right. Or I guess maybe it does, because you could say that's not what I thought he was doing. Right. But yeah, he basically is. He also, like, in the updates about his future or whatever, it sounds like he's traveling a ton to just talk to various people in the art community about what generative art is, about how the blockchain is an interesting thing for art creators and art collectors, and specifically art blocks is kind of place within that, and also I guess generative art as well, because certainly that's like a minor subcategory in the traditional art world, even though it's not nothing, but it's definitely a minority of traditional art.
Yeah. I think he's very much playing the long game, understanding that in order for generative art, NFTs, art on the blockchain to really take off and to get, in quote unquote, traditional art collectors interested, it just doesn't happen. We can't just live in our own little bubble and keep putting out NFTs and just wait for them to come to us, per se. Like maybe eventually, yes, but there's so much power and importance in just showing the art and the work and the artists and highlighting them to, like, taking the art to them rather than hoping that they come to us, I guess.
Right. And being able to give them not just the art itself, but an understanding of in what way this piece of art was created, and like, here's some other pieces from the collection, so you get an idea of what is interesting about this piece individually, and what is interesting about this collection as a whole, and what is interesting about the process of generative art in general that allows us to create these things.
Yeah. It's all very exciting. I'm very bullish on NFTs, Jamie. I think NFTs have a bright future.
I do too. it's going to be interesting and like rocky. It is a bummer how much some people have just wiggled their way into the space to take advantage of it, and to take advantage of sort of the bullishness and FOMO tendencies of some of the participants. But overall, it's such a powerful thing that will not stop. And it's really, it seems to be the sort of killer app of crypto, so to speak, that is actually going to really speed us up to widespread adoption in a way that DeFi never really had a chance to, because nobody cares about that kind of thing. It's not fun.
It's not. Yeah. Again, it's like tech and finance nerds care about DeFi.
Right.
The rest of the world,
the finance nerds are like scared of it. You know what I mean? It's like it encroaches on their territory. So it's hard for them to adopt it, actually. Yeah.
Somewhat related, since we're talking about like more adoption and mainstream adoption, I minted 3 NFTs yesterday. It cost me $1.70 in gas per NFT, which is just ludicrous. Like on ETH mainnet. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. Yeah. I have seen people saying basically that gas is at like 8-month lows or whatever.
Yeah, but even then, like the optimization of these contracts that people are coming up with is
just a multi-pronged thing that's getting numbers down that low, which is awesome.
And we haven't even really, like, layer 2s aren't really fully here yet. Sharding is not really a thing, so very optimistic.
Layer 2s are here, right? That seems
they're here, but they're not like massively adopted. They're not taking a ton of activity away from layer 1s.
Yeah, I guess. But certainly we don't have sharding. That is for sure true.
Yeah.
I saw that there was like the 10 millionth ETH maybe got deposited into the proof of stake contract or whatever for FT.0.
Lido thing.
Yeah, something like that.
That's a lot of ETH. 10 million ETH. Yeah,
it was crazy. How much?
Bullish.
$25 billion locked up or something.
Yeah. Good for ETH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a good thread on Twitter the other day. I think it might have actually been this morning, basically talking about the different ways to have a cryptocurrency really be able to stand on its own 2 feet and compete with the existing major fiat currencies. And they were basically talking about the 2 differing approaches of Bitcoin to just kind of really capture that store of value / gold market versus Ethereum, where it's building its own ecosystem that theoretically, if it becomes, bigger than the GDP of almost any country or something, it's just, you can't ignore how relevant that currency that, all the transactions in that ecosystem is. And it was very interesting and gave me an appreciation for the sort of validity of the 2 approaches and also the stark differences in what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it this goes back to basically the very first segment, but for so long I've been a firsthand witness of the Ethereum use case of, building up that ecosystem, that economy within it and on that blockchain that, proves and generates the value of Ethereum. And now very recently, I've been seeing sort of the way that some of these countries are acting and the ramifications on their fiat currencies and their geopolitical opponents' fiat currencies and how that's so bullish for something like Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's once you like read stuff like that and really take a look at what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing and can allow people to do, it's hard not to just be insanely long-term bullish on them. Like 10-year, 50-year time horizon, it's just yeah.
There is something to me that's concerning about Bitcoin super long term, because as the rewards for mining get halved over and over again, eventually you're paying so little to secure the network that it seems like it would be difficult to actually have people running the nodes to mine and actually keep the network up and running. But those are very distant problems. And I guess maybe the answer is just that, Bitcoin will be worth 9 million per Bitcoin. So it's okay that the block reward is only 1 Bitcoin or something. Yeah. I don't really know. Or maybe I don't know what the reward is. I think it was 12.5 and then came down to 6.25 last time. I think that's where it is right now. So I don't know how long it would actually take to get down to 1, but you get the idea.
A while. Yeah. Long-term problems, but a lot of time for very smart people to figure out solutions to them as well.
Yeah. This is the generative art segment. Should we wrap that up?
Should we? Yeah. Art blocks. Our projects. All my projects and then Jamie's
funny anecdote.
Yeah. Let's start with that. So abstract of the day is what we would talk about ZenAcademy and abstract of the day.
Yeah.
We'll get to ZenAcademy. What's going on with abstract of the day, Jamie?
So we talked earlier when we were looking at the number of apes listed, that graph, with the contract migration on OpenSea, basically every single NFT on the entirety of their website got delisted, unless you had migrated to the new contract early. And so after this happened, my collection, abstract of the day, which had maybe 20 of them listed, and only half of those were listed at reasonable prices. All of those got delisted, again, along with all these other projects. And then when it came back up, once we had fully migrated to the new contract, the abstract of the day floor was it lasted about 18 hours, I think, higher than the Fidenza floor, which was ridiculous and funny, because basically there was one person who listed one for 77 ETH and another one who had one listed for over 1,000 ETH, and that was it. And the floor at the time for Fidenza was like 59 or 60. So that was just a fun thing.
That was fun.
Noticed and tweeted about. That's it.
There've been a couple sales as well lately.
There have been a couple sales. Yeah.
Not for 77 ETH though.
Not for 77 ETH, not even close, but that's fine.
That
was it was a funny thing to see.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Fidenzas and Tyler Hobbs, it turns out he and you are colorblind. You can't tell the difference between gray.
No. So, all right, since we're getting onto this topic, the other night Rachel and I were at dinner.
By the way, hold on a second. We just finished off the art block segment by talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now we've moved on to the art project segment, and we're going back to talk about our art blocks project.
That's correct. So the other night, I'm trying to find the image to bring it up as well. The other night, Rachel and I are at dinner, and we're talking about. So we recently bought an apartment in Brisbane. We're moving back there to live in probably start of next year, and so we're talking about decorating it. And I was like, I can't wait to get put up so much art. We have so much art now that we can. That's the wrong thing. So much art, and then I was like, I love my Fidenza and I want to have, and then she is like lukewarm on the Fidenza. And so we started talking about it, and I'm going to show it now. Was it
just you two, or was there other people?
No, it was just the two of us.
Okay.
And then,
it's so she clearly gray. What the fuck?
No, she said something about how the colors are it's just gray, and I was like, no, but no, it's not gray. It's green. It's like a dull. It's like a greenish thing. And she's looking at me right now as I'm speaking this. But anyway, we're going this back and forth between, is this gray or is it green?
Did you ask like the waiter? Because that's the kind of thing that I would do. Recruit them to get involved.
No, we should have.
German.
Yeah, well, no, they spoke English, but it just didn't occur to us. So I asked you, and I asked Will, another friend, and then you both said versions of gray and like pink and red and yellow, not yellow, red and pink. And then I was like, I said, let's tweet it and then see what other people say. And then I tweeted specifically, I also at Tyler Hobbs just to get his eyes on it. And he wrote back a very pretentious response. Let me find out what he said. He said, actually, I can just share this as well. And I will. Oh, no, that's the wrong thing. That's my whole screen. Let's stop that.
Good God.
I'm just going to read it out. He said, Celadon, Terra Verte, Peach, and Amaranth.
One of those sounds like a color peach. I've heard of the color peach before, certainly.
Yeah, but I Googled the first two, and they were basically just versions of green. And then I was like, I feel vindicated that I use the layman's term green. And then he was like, oh, yeah, definitely desaturated greens. It never occurred to me that anyone would perceive this as gray.
Well, but we all do, Tyler. Everybody but you and
Not
Roy
everyone
perceives it that way.
Not everyone.
I mean, here's the thing.
There were a good number of people saying green in the response. More people did say gray.
Right.
But
if you are forcing me to say what hue is it closest to, I guess I'll go default to a green because there's a touch of that in that. But it's so desaturated that to me it's wild that you would pick the word green over the word gray to be a single descriptor of what that color is.
Well,
I don't particularly care that the artist is also saying some weird greens too.
Well, Will also asked his girlfriend Bree, who taught color theory at university, and she also said versions of green, not gray. So I'm like, it's now me, Tyler Hobbs,
Here we go.
A university lecturer of color theory versus Jamie, Rachel, and a bunch of people on Twitter.
And every person on the internet.
Not every person.
I mean,
how do we get into this anyway?
I don't remember. If you are going to say that, you know, black and white and all the spectrum in between aren't colors at all, okay, fine. I'll say some sort of green thing, you know, if you want to play that game. But
I don't even know
if they're allowed in the conversation. It's wild to me. I mean, I guess our listeners can sound off to us. Who are actually watching the video in the comments below on YouTube. Please everyone tell Roy and Tyler that they're wrong and that this is clearly a bunch of grays and pinks and not green.
I will agree that there's pinks in there. I think it's like a greenish. It's greenish. It's just greenish. It's like a military, like an army green, or like a earthy green or something.
Much less green than an army green.
But it's like a faded army green. Like it's been in the sun. That someone's fought a war and come back and it's got some blood stains on it.
It's faded so much that now the best word to use to describe it is no longer green. It's gray.
Hang on, Rachel keeps messaging me. It's a gray green.
Yeah, it is definitely a desaturated green, but it's so desaturated that it no longer should be described as green instead of gray. That's it. What were you saying? Let's get back to the thing.
I have no idea. What were we saying?
You were saying something about ZenAcademy or some bullshit. I don't know.
Well, no, you were talking about Abstract of the Day and Fidenza. We didn't even get to ZenAcademy because we got sidetracked with this.
Right. Because we were talking about how the floor is higher. That's how we got sidetracked on the Fidenza. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So tell us about ZenAcademy, or more specifically, maybe that you told us you were recording a class in Dubai a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you wanted to update us on that.
Yeah, so that's finished. I mean, obviously, the recording was finished. I came back about 2 weeks ago. It's now in the process of being edited. I speak better than this in the course.
I should hope so.
It'll be released next month, so early April. And yeah, it's like open for people to sign up to now if you want, and we'll post a link below. The course is on how to launch an NFT project, and it's like a 7-day course with like an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of video content each day. And it's not no one's going to be able to take the course and then just know everything you need to know to launch a successful NFT project. That's just not possible. So I want to like set expectations, but I sort of cover basically what is involved in launching an NFT project to give people an idea. Because I think a lot of people might have had an inkling of, hey, it would be cool to launch a project, but then they might not know what's involved. And it's sort of like a case of you don't know what you don't know. And so I go into, based on my experience and talking to a bunch of other project founders, some of the things that are important to consider and people that you need to sort of hire or work with if you want to make a successful project. And then again, like there are so many different types of projects. It's like, are you trying to launch a 10K project, or are you just a one-of-one artist? So I try and like touch on, if you are just a one-of-one artist, what options you might have. And then if you want to go something larger, what options you might have. And yeah, we cover a lot. And yeah, it's open for anyone to sign up to. If you have a ZenAcademy or 333 Club NFT, it's going to be free. That mechanism isn't ready yet. So like in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to go to the website and use your MetaMask and sign up and all that kind of stuff. And for anyone else, yeah, you can basically buy the course. And I'm doing something I think kind of cool with the money. So of the proceeds, it's a $400 course. 50% goes to Nasacademy because they did tons and tons of work on it. And then 50% is mine. And basically, they said that they can pay it out in ETH. So I've set up a separate ETH wallet, zenbank.eth, and all of the proceeds, or my proceeds, going into that wallet. And from there, 25% of that I'm going to donate to Ukraine. I don't know exactly if it's going to be the ETH address they tweeted or some other charity. And then 75% is going into what I'm calling like the ZenAcademy Scholarship Fund, that it's not fully defined what we're going to do.
You're throwing a lot of percentages at us, right?
And 37,000, 11.4%. Anyway, a bunch of it is going into a scholarship fund, which we will use to support like up and coming artists and creators in the space and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll post a link below. You can go and check out the website and see it all. That's like the biggest thing going on, I think, at the moment on that front. And, with ZenAcademy, we're still working on a whole bunch of things behind the scenes in terms of branding and big picture vision and a new logo and website. And I'm dealing with lawyers. I hate lawyers, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard you complaining about lawyers a bit lately.
Yeah.
Now, are you allowed to get into at all why they're frustrating you so much, or have your lawyers advised you not to do that?
No, it's just
they're so darn careful. They don't want you to.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like
I want to do this thing, and they're going
specify this and specify this and terms and conditions, and do you have this disclaimer and this disclaimer, and you should do this, and yeah,
that's funny.
I mean, they're right, probably.
Yeah.
But
I would, legally speaking, that they are.
Yeah, and it's just the questions they ask you. It's like they need to know so much stuff, and I'm sitting there like replying to an email with like 20 questions, like lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being married to one.
Yeah.
So
that's still better than being married to you, though.
Yeah, no, that's not wrong. So we updated on my project, on your project. Now, do you want to play What Am I Thinking or chess?
I think we should.
Which one?
Let's play. Well, we'll start with What Am I Thinking? What are you thinking? And then we'll expand from there.
Okay, I got one.
I don't yet. Okay, I got one.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Broccoli.
Giraffe.
Broccoli and giraffe. Broccoli and giraffe. Okay, I got one.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Tree.
That was easy.
That was an easy one. I almost said foliage, though. I almost said foliage.
That's too fancy.
A little too specific, maybe. So I went with the tree. That's good. That was easy.
We're getting better. Yeah.
I know. And we used to be like, we were so close to being that good because we would get right there and then just circle around it.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we wrap up?
I guess. Yeah, okay. We shouldn't play chess every single time.
We won't play chess, but we will tell them about how I'm officially better than you now, right? You and I.
How
are
can
both
you possibly think that?
You and I are both in
the
agreement
last time
now.
We played, I won.
I'm
You've
better
still
than you
literally
at
never
chess.
beaten me.
Thank you
aside
for listening
from
to the
a time
podcast.
that I timed out. We played a very serious game of chess a week ago or whatever, and
I'm better
who won
than
that?
you now.
Who won?
It's not about who won and who lost. It's about you and I both agreeing that I'm better than you now. And that's the end of the episode. Thanks for listening. Right for the
poor Kayla.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the people who are only listening instead of watching, Roy has his face in his palm right now.
Yeah.
No, we played a game of classical chess, and I performed very well, but then ran out of time and blundered a rook, and it was game over. Basically, that's the long and short of it, right?
That is, yeah. You played better than you usually play.
I played better than you.
Then you should have won.
Well, I played better than you until I ran low on time and blundered my rook.
Well, time management is a part of playing. You did not play.
No doubt. But for 38 of the 42 moves of the game, I had the advantage, and I felt good about it. And now, but now the thing is, now I can't now Roy loves clinging to the fact that he won the game, but now every time I challenge him to a long format game, I'm too busy. I can't do that right now.
It's an hour.
Maybe I could play a 1 minute one. I could play a 30-second game, but I can't play one where you actually have the time to think, Jamie. Of course.
Tell you what, this weekend we'll play a proper game of chess.
I'm going to California this weekend. I don't have time for that.
Oh, here we go now with excuses.
Actually, I could probably find the time to do it, and I would love to do it. But this is too much random stuff. Let's wrap this up.
Is it?
Thanks for listening. This has been episode 33 or something.
33.
See you next week.
Bye.
Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff. Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff.